Hey, what are you doing? Run, cuts! That I took on. To say the least, I put it all on the line.
Our boy Druski has done it again. Druski is transforming from a guy who creates skits on Instagram and YouTube. He's transforming right in front of our eyes into one of the most important satirists that we've seen in our generation. This is a preview for Druski's new movie, Release the Shackles. And you all came to the right place, because let me tell you, this one hits close to home. Some of y'all might not know out here that I am a trained actor. I am a classically trained actor. I've done the whole process. A lot of y'all might not know that. A lot of y'all might just think I'm some guy on YouTube, but I've actually had experience and worked in the theater. Very serious about my craft. Don't often get to use it as much these days, but Druski might be actually getting close to one of the reasons a guy like me is here on YouTube.
Well, you promise you go with me now.
Rudy, stop talking like that. You ain't going to no big city. Mass ain't gonna let you.
Yeah, I'm going with or without you.
Rudy, stop talking like that. Stop. Hey, what are you niggers doing over there?
We gotta get out of here.
Hey, what are you doing? Run, cuts!
Fantastic.
I need
kiss
more
on the forehead.
American slave. Okay?
Like struggle.
Yeah, the struggle. Like,
Sort of like the dialogue, like the back and forth battle.
absolutely. Yes.
See, this role was sort of a bit cheeky. I got a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know. During the filming of this role and this character, I felt oppressed, like an American slave, like a lot of struggle. I studied the art.
A fantastic turnout on the red carpet tonight.
And just arriving, we have Samson Dubois at the American Guild Awards.
Samson, you look great tonight.
The American
How
Guild.
hard was it for you to change your accent?
As a little boy from Manchester, I think, I struggled a bit with the dialect, right? But to really get into character for this quite astonishing role that I took on, to say the least, I put it all on the line.
All right, 3, 2, 1, action.
I'm telling you, nigga, if you fuck with my shit, I'll kill you, nigga. You'll be fucked up. Fuck.
Nigga, we family.
Nigga, ain't no fucking family in this shit. We not family, nigga. Fuck family.
Hey, cut, that's the one.
Stunning. That was stunning.
Good performance, brother. Good performance.
Working with a good London boy,
Stunning.
and I bother him all the time. I had a call with the director. It was quite quintessential to the role, and great character development behind it.
I put this fucking bullet in your head, nigga.
I laugh because I'm penniless and a bit quite surreal.
Samson Dubois, Samson Dubois. Samson, yo, who's the girl? Who's the girl?
What's your next
Samson
movie?
Dubois,
What's your
Samson
next
Dubois.
movie?
Yo, do you think your British accent gets you all the black roles in America?
Come on, bro. Are you serious, bro?
Do you think you're better than them?
Better than who, bro? Black people.
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, you promise you go
Better
with me
than
now.
who, bro? Better than who, bro? The details in this. If you see, he has an actual film crew out there shooting this, releasing the shackles. Release the shackles. And the outside interview. And if you notice, there's a lot of detail that Druski has in here too. Like the director is actually British. The guy he's in the car with here is actually British as well. He said it's a good London boy. He did mess up one thing. That wasn't a Manchester accent. Just being a stickler for detail as I would. I know that's something that they would say. He sounds like more like he was from London, you know? But the details, if you look in the back at this poster here that he got up there for Concrete Jungle, they've even put a poster up of Concrete Jungle. You know how much work that takes? You could probably do it with AI now, but that is attention to detail. That is crazy. And he's talking to the film director. Is the film director British or American?
It was quite quintessential to the role.
It's quintessential to the role.
Great character development behind it.
I put this fucking bullet in your head.
I laugh because I'm penniless and a bit quite surreal.
I'm penniless, and I'm a bit quite surreal. It's very South London, I think. He's going for. So yeah, but Druski has opened up a very serious question. Druski, you know, he's been doing this type of thing for years, man, where he plays, you know, these roles. But, you know, it works because it mirrors something real. The industry is picking British actors to play Black Americans so often for very culturally specific roles. And everyone's just going along with it. You know, everyone's just going along with it. We don't have a problem with it per se, because these are talented actors. I'm not even going to front. A lot of these British guys are very talented. But are they that talented where no American actor can even be considered for the role? You know, we laugh at Druski's skit because we recognize it. We recognize the truth in it. If you look at the comments, it's a full stream of people saying, oh my God, I've been saying this forever. Hollywood has a Black American actor problem. From Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out, Idris Elba playing Stringer Bell in The Wire, Damson Idris in Snowfall. You know, these roles pull directly from Black American culture. You got 3 British actors cast to play these American roles. And in every single case, you can even throw my boy from All American. Literally, the show is called All American, but the Black American in the script is played by a British guy. It's kind of ridiculous at this point, you know? But in every single one of those projects, every single case, the British accent had to be hidden just to make it work, just to make it believable. And that should be an indication of the problem that exists. See, the question isn't whether these actors are talented. They are. The question is why casting keeps reaching across the Atlantic when the story is set in Baltimore or South Central or the sunken place. There are 2 specific reasons Hollywood won't admit to. And the second one is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. We're told it's about merit. You know, when I got out of grad school for acting, and I went to a pretty damn good grad school, I got some great actors that came out of my school. 2 that come to mind are Mahershala Ali and Wood Harris. That's just a short list, right? But when I got out of grad school, our biggest competition a lot of times for a young Black man in his 20s was rappers. At that time, Hollywood was fascinated by rappers. And so you couldn't go to movies or television shows without running into a rapper that got the role over an actor. But as time went on and that went out of fashion, and you started realizing that these rappers weren't necessarily the strongest actors, our competition became actors from the UK and parts of Africa, basically anywhere else but Black America. They were looking over foundational Black American actors. And I know a lot of people probably wouldn't believe that, but you just look at the rosters of some of these big 3 agencies and name the people who have the background of the people who were descended from slavery in America. And we've been told for years that this is all about merit. When you look at how these casting rooms actually run through merit, it turns out to be code for something else entirely. You start with Get Out because it's the clearest case, right? Jordan Peele wrote a film from a specific place. The psychological terror of being a Black man navigating white liberal spaces. The ones that perform allyship with you while treating you like a curiosity or something strange. That's not a universal experience. And the fact that Jordan wrote that was very personal. We're starting to get some indications that he might have written it about a friend of his. Possibly. But see, that's not a universal experience. That's a culturally specific nightmare that Black Americans recognize the second it hits the screen. It's why Sam Jackson said, what would this movie have been like if they had put a real American brother in that role?
So I tend to wonder, what would that movie have been with an American brother who really understands that in a way? Because, I mean, what would a brother from America have made of that role? You know, and I'm sure the director helped. And, you know, some things are universal, but everything ain't.
So when they cast the lead with a kid from England who had to study and absorb the cultural experience that wasn't his, Daniel Kaluuya did the work and the performance landed. But just sit with that for a second. The most talked about Black American horror film in a generation was anchored by someone who had to learn about the experience from the outside in. You can say that there's racism in the UK, and there's some racism in the UK, but there's a very specific cultural history that goes on here on the shores of America that if you were not descended from it, it might be foreign to you. But then you look at Idris Elba in The Wire, the whole identity of that show rests on the authenticity of Baltimore being a character in that. Not only do you have Idris Elba there, but you also have the other lead on the police force. He's also British. So it's not just exclusive to Black Americans, but it seems to be the most egregious when it comes to Black Americans. But Idris Elba's Stringer Bell was a great character. It's one of the most iconic characters in TV history. And they spent the entire run making sure that you never heard his real voice. And he struggled. Let me tell you, he struggled. As someone from not too far from Baltimore, you can tell that Idris Elba was doing a general New York accent in order to try to fit into that Baltimore aesthetic, not necessarily a Baltimore accent. You want to hear a Baltimore accent, listen to the character Snoop that comes in the later seasons of The Wire. But he fought hard for that role, and he talked about his casting situation. But was there no other actor in Hollywood that could have played that role? I guess we'll never know. Snowfall is the same story, literally the story of Freeway Ricky Ross, which they tried to fictionalize and, kind of embellish so they didn't have to give that credit, which is another thing. I hate that John Singleton decided to go that way. But it's a Black American kid in 1980s South Central watching the crack epidemic hollow out a generation of Black people. And Damson Idris, British, played him for 6 seasons in a suppressed English accent. This dude had to go hang out with Dub C from the West Side Connection to get into the character, to start understanding how he had to sound and what world he was in. The performance is excellent. That's not the argument. The argument is that this keeps happening. And every time the industry acts like it's just a coincidence, it's not. 2 things are driving this, and they work together. The first is what I would describe as like a prestige bias. Hollywood decided somewhere in their boardrooms that British training equals serious acting. This is why it's so clear when Druski does this. People that went to RADA or Lambda or the whole ecosystem of British drama schools, they've decided that it carries a cultural weight that American training just doesn't get credit for. So when a casting director wants a Black actor who reads as awards caliber, the bias points towards London before it points anywhere in America. I think of a story that happened to a personal friend of mine, Sterling K. Brown, who, when he saw the role of Christopher Darden and wanted an opportunity to read for it, he's mentioned in interviews that the casting people were looking in London and Africa to get somebody to play this role because they thought no American would want to play a character that despicable. Really? Last I checked, we're just looking for great opportunities to flex our craft, to challenge ourselves. And a lot of times, Black American actors aren't given those opportunities. So Sterling was like, hey, I'm right here in Los Angeles, and you all are looking over me? But that story has a happy ending because Sterling K. Brown, also trained at my conservatory, got that role and embodied it, won a Golden Globe and an Emmy, and set his career off on a whole nother trajectory that it probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So if you just think it's just about the British training system and how much better they are trained than we are, you're only seeing half of the picture. It's a political calculation running in these Hollywood offices that has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with safety. The second driver for this is risk aversion, and this one is very deep. Post-2020, studios got very conscious of what it means to center Black American stories. The conversation around representation and around the specific history of anti-Black racism in America, around what it means to tell those stories authentically. That conversation has political gravity. A Black American actor brings their full cultural identity into that space, and you can feel it. A Black or British actor brings the talent, sometimes without the same complications, as the industry would say. You see, the accent gets repressed, gets hidden, and the optics are managed. The box gets checked, and nobody actually has to engage with what the story is actually saying. The British accent, it equals safety to these people. Boy, if they really ever went to London, they would know that ain't true. They've got some tough blokes over there. Roadman. This isn't necessarily the British actor's fault. Once again, they're just being used in this way. Because if you hire a Black American, sometimes you get Malcolm X, right? When Denzel Washington played Malcolm X in 1992, you had a cultural moment. I remember because my mother took me to that movie on purpose so that I could witness this. This movie caused a resurgence in political activism. Black children and teenagers were wearing hats with X's on it. So some adults too, by the way. But that type of cultural connection right there, in contrast to something like Daniel Kaluuya playing Fred Hampton, didn't have the same impact necessarily, did it? It was done well. It was acted okay. I would have made some different choices. Not hating. But actually seeing Daniel Kaluuya play Fred Hampton and have to force his voice into an octave that it doesn't naturally sit in, and him not necessarily looking like Fred Hampton, so can't see why that was a choice. But you started wondering why Lakeith Stanfield wasn't actually playing Fred Hampton in that role. And why Lakeith Stanfield had to instead play the character that eventually ended up being an informant against Fred Hampton. Yeah. I mean, that was an interesting role as well, but, you know. And then also the weirdest thing, the strangest thing was somehow obviously a lead in that movie gets nominated for a supporting actor Oscar and, of course, wins. That's strategy. He doesn't win the Oscar if he goes into the Best Actor category that year. But he won Best Supporting Actor for a role where he was in probably the majority of the film. But Hollywood isn't being honest. A lot of times they say they follow the money. But let's look at the money. Black Americans have kept this industry solvent through some of its worst stretches. Think about the Black exploitation period. The film Black Panther crossed $1 billion. Girls Trip overperformed on every metric. Barbershop built a franchise from nothing. And right now, we've got an example, a current example. Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic, is pulling some of the biggest Black box office numbers in recent memory. Also, Michael is being played by a family member of Michael's Black American family. Go figure. And played quite brilliantly, I might add, by Jafar Jackson. So I've told you my issues with the film. I think the script was part of the problem, but neither here nor there. The film is a success. But what we really need to talk about is the audience that's showing up and spending money on these films. It's a Black audience that is the engine, that is the base of the support of these films. And that same audience is watching their own stories get cast with people who need a dialect coach to sound like them. So when you see those numbers or the talent excuse, because I've named several Black American actors that are very talented in this video, but that talent shortage, American talent shortage idea, it falls apart completely. See, the industry's go-to defense is that the most talented actor gets the role, but that defense collapses the second you factor in how many of those roles require cultural fluency as a baseline condition. If the job description quietly includes must be able to pass authentically as a Black American, then cultural fluency is part of the talent. And the audition room should reflect that. It doesn't. By and large, Black American actors are some of the most underrepresented actors. Ask me, how many times have I had a meeting with a top tier agency in my career? Now, I've had my share of opportunities with mid-range agencies, but that top tier, you see these British actors who They keep claiming that they have such a problem finding roles in the UK, but it's strange how they come here a lot of times and they've already got a padded resume full of theater accomplishments and television to come here basically competing against an unknown. Most of the time they're pushed directly into the pipeline to the top tier agencies. And we wonder why there is such a dearth of Black American talent. They're not even getting to that level a lot of times without being in their whole career or having a hit movie already. There are some people that were stars in the 90s that couldn't get arrested in Hollywood right now. So, not to mention Hollywood being a totally different place in the past few years. Like, trust me, they're losing money at a rate that is ridiculous. So once again, I ask, are we back in the 1970s again, where we need Black films and Black exploitation to float Hollywood through? And I'm asking this as a YouTube executive. I'm asking this as a film executive. Is that the way forward? Because it kind of looks like it. Once you get a successful Michael, you're going to see so many other films come to get that bump. But back to Black American actors versus Black British actors. What's actually in short supply isn't Black American talent. It's investment. No major agency runs a serious development pipeline for Black American actors. That's a choice. Studios with diversity mandates, they aren't tracking this specific displacement at all. And that's where, once again, we get into the delineation conversation, because a lot of times Black American FBA, ADOS failure is sometimes masked because we are lumped in a group with flat Blackness, everybody being the same. So if we see a Black face and they just so happen to hail from the UK, then the true story isn't being told. So if the talent is there, and now we see that the money is actually there in the buying audience of Michael, why is the pipeline being choked? There's one group of people nobody's holding accountable yet, and it's time we name them. Someone needs to start asking why, loudly, on record, with receipts. But Black Americans keep funding Hollywood's biggest wins, and Hollywood keeps casting someone else to play them. Druski made it satire, which the most brilliant satire does exactly that. It has a political statement. Like, the mind of Druski, man, I'm constantly amazed. You know, from the Erica Kirk sketch to now, Druski has another one where he is skewering British actors playing American roles. Satire is a genre of literature, art, and performance that uses humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize human vices, follies, abuses, or shortcomings. While often intended to be funny, its primary purpose is usually constructive social criticism. Does Druski's skit fit that definition? Absolutely it does. So something that Druski made a joke, hopefully somebody can see this because it's already at millions of views in less than 24 hours, and actually ask the question, why? Why? Why does it have to be this way? Does it have to be this way? I can't wait for the next Samson Dubois movie to come out. Because if we really ask the question, why aren't there movies starring Druski? Druski has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that in just the past few months, his audience is wide and far reaching. And people actually will pay for that type of talent. But anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. Make sure you hit the hype button on this video. It's very important. And if you want to watch more, please watch one of these videos down below. Sign up for the Faucette Media Patreon, where we can have some more industry deep dives like this from somebody like myself with almost, I hate to say, I always say over 20, but it's looking like 30 now. 30 years experience in the industry. Right here on this channel. This is Faucette Media. I'm so glad this is over. Now I can talk in my regular accent. Yeah, crazy. These Americans can't even tell where I'm from. What did Druski say? You know, I feel oppressed like an American slave, you know?